Ready? We'll pop?
Wait.
All right, take
So
it.
good. Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Sarah Cray with Let's Make Art, and we like to watercolor. I think you like to watercolor. Al?
We like what?
We like. Okay, anyways. We are doing this sliced citrus today. It's beautiful, it's fresh,
looks so
it's vibrant. I'm using my reference photo. As the reference photo that in your kits, I'm using that today. It's fine, we're fine.
We'll paint it big size.
We're painting it big size. This is just for you to look at while we're painting it so you know what goes where. This is the first project in the September box, so that's great, all good news. We are using 3 colors today. We have Tahoe blue, dandelion yellow, and magenta, and you will notice that they now come in these wonderful bottles that just open and drop. They're childproof, sorry.
It's childproof, that's the thing.
That's fine, okay. Great stopper, I'm really excited about those. Okay, so I put the 3 colors on my palette, and you guys can see my palette right now because I'm actually gonna use the center to mix like half of the colors that we have on this painting, we're gonna mix. And just to give you just a quick info about mixing, primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. You mix those colors to get purple and green and orange, which is essentially what we're doing, except we're mixing out pink for red. And that's great. I'll lead you through the rest. And we have 4 steps to this project. So first step, we're gonna put in our large citrus here. So we have the big guys. Then we're gonna start putting in our medium citrus. And then we have our small citrus. Oh wait, maybe I should go through the steps. 1?
Yeah.
1 large citrus. Here and here. 2 medium citrus.
Paint all over you.
I have paint all over me at all times. Listen, I'm an artist, okay?
1 large citrus.
1 large citrus. 2 medium citrus. 3, can you guess it? Small citrus.
Yeah.
Small, you got it, Al. Small citrus. 4, the leaves. No, the one project where details is not our last step. So I'm really excited to get this going. The brushes I'm using are round 6 and a round 2, our go-to brushes. They're fabulous. I'm going to start with the round 6 since we're starting large. And usually when you're doing something like florals or kind of like a loose composition like this, it's usually always a good idea to put your big items in first, and then your medium, and then your small, and that way you fill up that whole area and it kind of grows together. Okay, so I'm going to start with this first large citrus here, which is orange. So I'm going to grab a little bit of my yellow and pull it in the middle of my tray, and then grab a little bit of the pink and mix that together till I get orange.
Just a little.
Just a little, it's just like a swoop. If you want to grab more so you have extra to pull from, you can. And then just mixing colors. So this is an orange I'm happy with. If you're mixing and it's reading too pink, grab some yellow. If you're mixing and it's reading too yellow, grab a little bit more pink. But I was more timid with my pink because this magenta is a very strong color and it can easily overpower it and turn it into a different color, okay? So if you want a deeper orange, you do a tiny bit more of the magenta. So I'm gonna start with outlining the citrus. And so it's a circle shape, but I don't want you to stress about if it's like perfectly thick all the way around or if it's slightly lopsided. It's so difficult to draw a perfect circle, and that's not what this project is about. So don't stress about that. Just draw a circle. And the great thing about this is like citrus, like depending on the angle that you're looking at it, one side is gonna be a little bit thicker than others. It's not gonna be a perfect circle, that kind of thing. Okay, great. Let's get started. So I'm gonna do my circle. I'm gonna start on the upper part of my paper, more on the right-hand side. Don't start right in the middle because that's gonna be harder composition-wise for you. So we're gonna start. I'm just gonna make my circle here. And you can see, this is more of an oval shape. I love it, it's fine. Don't stress about these circles being perfect.
Same technique for an egg.
Exactly. And then I'm just gonna drop in some paint along the edges here because I'm a gal who likes color variation.
Pretty edgy.
I am. I live on the edge. That's what I always say.
Wait. We have lost your audio.
The green button is still on. Okay, so I just finished my circle. Remember, you are more than welcome to go back and maybe thicken it in some areas. This side is thinner than this side on this orange, so I'm gonna just thicken that up just a tiny bit. If you like it thinner on one side, that's fine. Don't thicken it up then. This is your painting after all. Okay. Now I'm going to do my citrus slices. So with the slices, the individual slices within the orange, I'm gonna leave a thin white space in between the edge and the slice itself. So, and I kind of just follow the shape of the circle here. I'm leaving a thin white strip, and then I'm gonna bring that to the middle of my paper. So it looks like a pizza slice. And then I'm gonna fill it in, but I don't wanna fill it in just totally even, because with citrus it's wet, so it glistens. That's what all of these white marks are here. So if you look at the lemon or orange or whatever, you'll see that there's actually a lot of white marks in there from the moisture and the light reflecting off of that. So we wanna replicate that. And so when I fill it in, I'm gonna kind of do these, fill in these areas, but I'm gonna leave little white chunks. Just like that. And then always drop in a little touch of color here, here. Great. And then you just kind of repeat that step over and over till your citrus is filled. And I'm leaving a thin white line in between my next slice. Bring it in, start to fill it in, but leave some white spaces. And the white spaces are random. There's not like rhyme or reason to them. You know, they don't have to be on one side or anything. It's kind of just filling them in. And there might be an area like this kind of touched the outside of my rim here. That's okay.
Ugh. Sarah.
It's fine. It happens. The biggest thing is just not to stress about those little things. And sometimes just for fun, because we're wild here, you can just drop in some yellow if you want and just get a different color variation. So that's a drop of yellow that you can see, but I feel like it almost brightens our orange a little bit too to have that other color in there. We're just gonna make our way around, fill it in, leave some white spaces, drop in some color, and move on. You can also see that my little wedges here, they're not all the same size. That's okay. This is a very relaxing, chill project. It's more just the fun of it. And if anything, I think it gives your oranges a little bit more character. Gosh, I love that yellow I dropped in there. It looks so good. Okay, that's our first orange slice. That's great. Now we're gonna move on to our larger slice, which I see as a grapefruit because it kind of has that pinky color. So I'm just gonna grab some of this pink here, this magenta. And then I'm gonna add, it's gonna be mostly magenta, and I'm just gonna take a touch of that orange and bring it in. Because grapefruits have that like light pink color, but it's not like a purple pink, it's like a yellow pink. Al, you know what I'm talking about.
I've been there.
And then I'm just going
Grapefruit, you're speaking my language.
I know all about grapefruit. And I'm just gonna go down, it's gonna be kind of like angled on the bottom left-hand side. I'm gonna do my grapefruit over here. And it's the same thing, I'm just gonna do my circle. Look at that. And then I'm just gonna drop in some color. And then I'm gonna start with my slices. So I do an angled line to the middle. That's a little bit deeper than the middle. And then just start to fill it in. And I'm going to widen this one a little bit because I made it, but it seemed a little too narrow. I like to have a nice wide top and it goes to a nice point. So I'm just going to widen that up. And the other thing that you can do within these citruses is some of them, this is a dark wash, which just means it has more paint than water. And the next slice can be a light wash. So I just rinsed my brush, like I kind of just dipped it in water. I didn't totally rinse it. And I'm just going to use that light pink to make the next one. Because we get this really nice soft pink going. And you can drop in color if you want, a dramatic center. And then we move on. Remember to leave these white parts. And I know it's hard because when you start to fill it in, you're going to get into a rhythm of how to fill it in. And just kind of be aware of that because we want the white marks to not be in the same place for every single wedge. So kind of, it's really just being aware of it and being like, okay, I did some, maybe I'll do some white marks in this next one in the center. So I'm going to leave some white spots. There we go. Now this painting is definitely more illustrative. Illustrative. That's it. And that just means that we're not trying to make this look realistic. We're not focusing so much on light and shadow and creating form. This is just more of a basic interpretation of orange slices. So it's more of an illustration, and that's what I love. Hopefully you guys love it too. I'm just dropping in some stronger magenta in some of these places because I am all about color variation. It's what I always say.
It's pretty edgy.
Great, now we have our grapefruit. Isn't it pretty? I love that color. Great job.
How big are those? Those are about the size of a sand dollar or something.
Yeah, I would say those are about 2.5 inches. Two and...
What angle is it?
Ow, give me an inch. No, it's fine. Yeah, a couple inches. Now we're gonna go to step 2, which is our medium citrus here. And I'm gonna start with my lemons. And for the lemons, I'm just using yellow. So I'm gonna pull out some yellow, move it to the side. In some of the areas, we're gonna play with a little bit of green, a little bit of orange and a little bit of green, but for now I'm just gonna start with the yellow. And so this one is just gonna be smaller, just a little bit smaller. We don't want it as tiny as our limes. So I would say like 1.5 inches, right? Maybe close to 2 inches, but bigger than these. And I'm gonna kind of go more underneath it, but a little bit more to the left. And I'm gonna do my circle. Bam. Done. Bam. I think that's somebody else's catchphrase. Okay. Just drop in some color. Okay, and then I'm going to start with my slices. Now, since we're using one color yellow for this, the thing I want you to keep in mind is really kind of play with the amount of water you have on your brush. So I'm going to start with a strong colored wedge. So I have lots of paint on my brush. Fill that in. And then this next wedge, I'm just going to, I didn't pick up any more paint because I want it to be a lighter yellow.
But you dipped it in the water.
But I dipped it in water to make it a lighter color. And then maybe one more time. Let's see how light I can go.
It's pretty light.
It's pretty light. I'm going to drop in a little bit of color. And just keep on going all the way around. I'm going to do a big wedge over here. And you can introduce a little bit of orange. Not too much because we don't want it confused with our actual orange slices. Just a little here and there. Gorgeous, beautiful, looking great. And we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna do another lemon and it's gonna be in the bottom over here. Now remember, we don't have an outline for this, so you guys are freehanding this, which is awesome. First of all, I'm giving you props, because sometimes it's stressful to do that. But the other thing you have to keep in mind is because we're not using an outline, it's gonna look slightly different. This one is gonna look slightly different than this one, and that's just because the placement is not gonna be exact, but that doesn't mean your painting is wrong.
And it's hard to draw a circle.
You know what? It's so hard to draw a circle. I am not great at it, which is why this project, I'm like, these are gonna be loose, funky. It's gonna be great. So I'm gonna do another one over here. It's gonna be a slightly lower than this grapefruit. And just do your best. Oh, that turned out a little bit bigger. That's okay. My circle got funky, so I'm just gonna adjust it in some areas. There. Even in my reference photo, that one looks a little wobbly, but I like him. Put in some color.
I'm into wobbly lemons.
I like wobbly lemons. Give me all the wobbly lemons. Okay. Now I'm going to start putting in my slices. And drop in some color. I'm going to do more kind of just at the tip here. Alan, do you have a citrus story you want to share?
I got a dried apricot's diarrhea story.
Do you really? Do you feel like sharing that, or maybe not? All the way around. Remember to leave those white spaces within the slices and in between the slices. Gorgeous, so beautiful. Now we have one other medium size to do, that's our orange. I gotta mix some more orange. Now somebody kind of asked me, I think it was actually one of the comments on YouTube, like what do you do if you mix a color and then you run out of it and you have to keep using that color? I just kind of mix as I go, and there are gonna be slight differences, but I'm just the type of person where I embrace those differences and I let it go. If it really stresses you out that there's slightly different colors, then I would encourage you to kind of mix a lot at the beginning in a separate area, and that way you can just pull from that the whole time. But honestly, I think it's almost like the type of personality you are. I am not a super organized person. I'm a very go with the flow type of person. And so it's like, I'll just mix more paint. It's fine.
My personality is one where I make paint.
But always in art school, I would have fellow students who would just mix their palette beforehand, and it was beautiful. Their palette was just gorgeous and totally organized, and so much paint that that's all they needed for the whole painting, and mine was not that way at all. It really actually looked like this, where just all of these areas where I was just mixing all of these colors. And it's not bad. I don't think there's like a wrong or a right.
No one's saying those guys are wrong.
Listen, I'm not saying that's wrong, okay? I think it's just the type of, I don't know. I don't want to say like person, but maybe like personality you are. Who knows?
Maybe like what sign you are?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm a Virgo. You guys tell me what that means. Okay, and then I'm just going to start putting in my slices here. So first I draw my pizza slice. You can adjust it if it's too narrow. Then I fill it in. Try and have your edges be as straight as you can. I'm actually going to move this to the side. Sometimes I move things around to help with my straight edges. So I'm just going to kind of like pull. And then I get a straighter edge. It's easier for me than trying to like completely work vertically. And if your sections you think are too, like maybe that white section is too thick, so I can just go in and redo that line, make it thinner. Just like that, maybe drop in some yellow. This one kind of touched my rim there. That's okay. I feel like whatever happens, even if your oranges get a little bit wonky, I think it just kind of adds character to this illustration. Sometimes it's okay to be a bit wonky. Okay, we put in our medium citrus, you guys. We did it. That's step 2. We're halfway done. Good job.
These are barely a step, so it's like 3/4 of the way done.
Pretty much. Okay. So now step 3, we're putting in our small citrus. I have one small little grapefruit up here. Grapefruits aren't small, so I took some creative license there. And then we did some lines.
Young grapefruit.
And remember, you don't have to follow this color exactly. Maybe you would rather have the orange down here and a yellow over there. Whatever. This is your painting, you guys.
Go, Sarah, we're doing it the way you did it.
Okay, I'm teaching you the way you did it, but I'm giving you permission to do whatever you want. Okay, so I'm just going to mix a little bit more grapefruit. Get this gorgeous peachy pink color.
And again, that's the magenta and...
Magenta and a little bit of yellow. Or you can mix it in with like the orange that we already had going. So this little guy's kind of up here in between these two, and it's going to be a small little guy right there. Perfect. And then this is where you might actually want to switch to your round 2, just because it's a smaller brush, so you have just a little bit more control. And we're going to fill in, we're going to do our pizza slices. Fill that in. And just kind of keep going around. Sometimes I like to just kind of go around and just kind of naturally let it, because the more you paint without like picking up paint, the lighter your color is going to get, right? Because it's kind of running out. And sometimes I just like to let that go. And then when it's out, I grab another brush full. You can drop in color here. So some of these are really tiny. So just try and focus, and to get thin lines with your round 2, thin soft lines, you just are really light with your pressure, almost barely touching that paintbrush to the page. And there's our cute little grapefruit, so cute. You can also even do water droplet textures in here. Let's do that. Let's go crazy.
Are you mad?
I'm gonna do it on my orange still because I can see that it's still wet. If your painting is already dry, like these down here are dry, so if I put a water droplet on that, it's not gonna spread. It's just gonna kind of like hang out there. Okay, now I'm gonna mix for my lime colors, and this is, I'm actually gonna use my bigger brush to mix on my palette. I'm just gonna grab some yellow, put it over here by my blue, and I'm just gonna grab a tiny bit of blue because we want this to be a really light green. The more blue you add to it, the more darker green it's gonna get. So that's why we want it mostly yellow with a little bit of blue. Then I'm gonna switch back to my round 2, pick up from that, and start putting in my limes. I have 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm gonna do this one over here. And remember, the outside rim of your citrus can be as thick or as thin as you want it. I've been switching it up, doing some thin, doing some thick. And we're doing our pizza slices. Now remember to still keep those white sections in those tiny little slices if you can. I know that we're working really small here, so if you end up covering some, that's not a big deal. Just kind of keep it in mind. Okay. We have another little lime over here. I just added a little bit darker green because I'm crazy, you guys. I'm wild. Oh, that's when you laugh. You're like, okay, cool.
I'm just imagining like Bob Ross talking about how wild he was.
Yes.
He was in the military.
Yeah.
He did some crazy stuff.
Wait, was he in the military? Because I feel like I've heard that, and then I feel like I also heard that that wasn't true. You guys, tell me.
I've never met him.
Tell me. If you know about Bob Ross, if you've read a biography, what do you know? Oh, also, I was looking at our squirrel comments, Al, and there are, somebody worked at a shelter, and squirrels do need rescuing. She's told us. Do you remember for our Jill?
Yeah.
You're like, do squirrels need rescuing? She's like, they do. So thank you, whoever told us.
Did they just open the door and they'd go out and find a tree?
Well, I feel like if places like are like, natural disasters are occurring, they would die. If there's a hurricane around, you don't want to just let the squirrels out. And the hurricane will suck them up. Right?
What do you think a hurricane does?
Doesn't a hurricane just like suck things up?
That's tornado, sure, but a hurricane is a lot of rain.
Oh, is a hurricane much different from a tornado? I thought a hurricane was like a tornado, but water-based.
Actually, I think I've heard that. That may be true.
Listen, let us know. Who's right here? I was wrong about the rhombus, okay? I admit that. That's from a previous tutorial. Some of you might know.
The running jokes.
Okay, so now I have another lime to put in here. Now what I think I'm actually going to do, no, never mind. I'm gonna keep going with what I got going on here. I'm gonna put it in between a little bit lower over here. Do those. Whoa, my center got way off over here.
Pretty wobbly line.
That is a very wobbly off-center lime. It's all right. It's just a lime.
It's not serious.
It's not serious. It's just a painting. I'm going to drop in some yellow for fun, for funsies. You guys, step 3, done. Check. Now we're just doing leaves. Leaves are fun. Leaves are fun because they're just super chill and you can really play with different color and watercolor textures within the leaves. So it's a great time. So I'm gonna go back to my round 6 to actually do these leaves, and I'm gonna mix some more blue, and I'm actually gonna have a few different greens going on. So I'm gonna have this green here, which is like a very bluish green. And then I'm gonna grab some more yellow over here and get more of a true green going on here. And then I'm gonna leave this yellow over here because some of my leaves are gonna be maybe close to my lime. And then also, if you want, you can even mix a little bit of this blue and a little bit of this magenta to get a purple, and you can do some purple leaves if you want. I'm gonna stay within green though.
What tree has purple leaves?
Listen, oh, a plum tree.
Great point.
I know that one. So we're gonna start, and to do my leaves, I do them 2 ways. I either outline them like so, and then fill them in like that. And don't forget to do little droplets of water in this. This is the fun part. Or you can just do it with 1 brush stroke a leaf. Now this is a little bit harder technique, so you might want to practice on a scratch paper if you're not used to it.
Buckle up, folks.
Buckle up, folks. This is hard sometimes. For me, it's hard. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to do light pressure to get a soft point, and then I press down to get the belly of my leaf, and then I lighten it up. And that's a leaf, like that. You can do watercolor texture in there. And sometimes even when I do that though, I want to like reshape them. So I'm like, bam. You do leaves how you feel right doing leaves. These are your leaves. So we're just gonna go around and start putting in leaves. And I kind of just have them kind of just coming out from the citrus. They're various sizes, so kind of just fill it in as you go. Kind of here. I'm gonna change up that green because it's right next to that lime, so I'm gonna introduce this more blue green over here. And if you want your leaves to be a little bit darker, to have like a brown color to it, you can mix in some of that magenta, and you're gonna get like a really desaturated green. If that's too much mixing for you, don't worry about it. But just kind of play with these colors, see what these colors can do, see what things you can make. So there's it mixed in with a little bit of the magenta. See how it kind of has like a grayer color than that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a cool color, I like it. So we're just gonna go crazy with our leaves. I'm not so concerned. Putting in our citrus, I started large and then worked small. With my leaves, since they're kind of just going everywhere, I'm not as concerned about like putting the big ones in first. I'm kind of just going for it. But a tip that I would like to recommend is I usually don't like it when there's too much of the same color in the same area. Like these 3 leaves are like all the same color, right? So I need to switch that up. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of this brighter green in between here. And that way there's a color change in between. And you can have some tiny little leaves if you want. That one turned out bigger. Let's do a tiny one. A little right here. And you can also leave like centers in yours, almost like a white, just like that. So it's almost acting as like a vein. I'm gonna drop in a little bit of blue here at the base here. But just keep in mind that you can play with the pressure of your brushes to get, just get those, you know, points and then that nice round edge and then back to a point. Also kind of play with the wash thickness. So This is a light wash here. I have a lot of water on my brush and a little bit of paint, but it almost looks like a totally different color now just because it's a lighter wash. So keep that in mind, that you have that option to kind of lighten it up.
Washy, washy.
Wash that up. Thinking of my plum tree. That was a win.
You finally had one. You zinged me.
If I had one, it was that one. Ooh, that's a blue leaf. I like that.
How many leaves are we talking here?
Listen, I'm almost done, Al, okay?
Is there like 100?
Yes. Nope, I don't know. This probably is going to be a little bit different than the reference photo. Yours is going to be different from mine. We love it. We embrace those differences. You kind of just go until it feels like it's full. As you go, you're going to kind of see chunks, and you're going to see like blank areas that you're going to be like, man, I should probably put a leaf there. So you're the one that's kind of feeling out your painting as you go. Now, like right here, I'm like, that's looking a little empty. So I'm just going to put just a tiny little leaf right here. And I'm using my round 6 for all of this. You can drop in watercolor, some water, to get these really cool texture spots. You see that? See that, Al?
I really do.
You really do. So keep that in mind to kind of drop in color or drop in water, and you're going to get different textures. I call them like, I know this doesn't make sense. I don't think it's a technical term, but I call them like burns, like watercolor burns. I don't know.
What? When you do what?
When I like drop in, like I would call that like a watercolor burn. I don't know why. That's just what I do in my head. So that's what I'm calling it.
It's a new name.
New name. These kind of textures, I'm calling them watercolor burns.
What do you call it when you put water into it?
That's what it is.
Like a scuff? Oh wait, what about when you put color into it?
I don't have a word for that yet. If you guys have an idea for a word, let me know.
Burns and scars.
Yes. No, I don't like scars.
Scab? It could be a scab.
No, that's so gross. Scab. Comment with what you think it should be. What are some other words?
We're going to have people that are like, it's actually called this.
I love that. Tell me, I don't know. Listen, I just like to paint. If you want that strong, see how some of these have like a really strong color? That's just dropping in color while it's still wet. Oh, look at that guy, yeah. And just kind of mix up your value variation. Some of these are very dark in value, and some of these are very light in value. Those are the ones that are just the light washes. Mix those up. We don't want it to be an even value for all of our leaves, because we want to just have it be a little bit more visually interesting. And just drop in some color, just like that. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about my leaf placement. I think there's one area on this right-hand side over here that's looking a little bare. Maybe a tiny little guy right here. You guys, we did it. The end. That was step 4, leaves. Nailed it, done. So if you do this project, which I absolutely hope you do, share it with us. We have a Facebook group, Let's Make Art Together. You can post it in there so everybody can see it. Or you can tag us. Our Instagram name is Let's Go Make Art. So go ahead and tag us in.
All of them?
What? For all of them. Yes, for all of them, that's right. Let's go make art. And if you're new to watercolor and you're not really sure what to do, watch the lives, because the lives, I do warm-ups. I kind of take my time a little bit explaining more what's going on. So feel free to take a look at that. We're gonna do this live on Tuesday, September 4th, 7:15 Central Standard Time. We'll be doing this live. Come with questions. Hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much. Bye.